Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new segment on the channel. This is a thing I'm tentatively titling Toy Ventures Talks. And for a pilot episode, I could not have a better subject than Joe and Gavin from Leicester Vintage Toys, which is my favorite channel currently on YouTube. And I'm saying that without hyperbole. These guys are doing an amazing series called Toy Shop on Tour. The second season began in October. Did it begin in October or November?
Where are we now?
It began in November. I think
3 weeks ago.
Whenever
that one.
So
we've been very busy.
Yeah, and if you're like me, you spend your Sunday mornings watching this intently because it is like toy porn. It's just the best thing, and you guys have done a really wonderful professional job of this. I can't get over the quality of your program, and it gives me something to look at and go, I want to get there. That is awesome. So congratulations on that. What inspired Toy Shop on Tour?
I don't think there was inspiration. It's the usual Joe. I've had an idea, and then we're going to do something ludicrous.
Yeah,
good.
That's what happens.
This is a long sort of standing thing where I have this idea, and Gav just sighs, puts his head in his hands, and we end up doing it, and Gav makes it better. And often my idea at the start,
right,
it's not what actually happens in the end, because he ends up going, yeah, that's not going to work, big lad, and tells me off. And then we sort it out and we actually do it, and it's actually a lot better. So
that's a great relationship. That means you have a big idea, he fine tunes it to a realistic one, and
that's
then
exactly it.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
and the evidence is right there in the show. It is.
But Matt is the one that makes it the way it is, more than us.
Yeah. Matt makes us look. I mean, Matt's our cameraman, our director, our producer. He does absolutely everything, and he's the one that really makes the show good. If not, it'd be me bumbling around looking at stuff, and we wouldn't really have the show.
Getting excited, the sound would be dropping.
Yeah.
You know, we wouldn't be in shot.
Well, there's no, as I like to call it, Blair Witch factor in your show. You know, you watch a lot of these channels, and I'm guilty of it too. And it's like, oh, I'm going to make people sick with that pan, you know. And he's obviously a pro. Yeah.
Matt's professional. He does it for a living.
Yeah.
He was we did a radio thing the other day, and they said, why isn't Matt here? Matt was meant to be with us, and he said, oh, he's off filming for Bentley. And it's like, so he does all these expensive jobs to pay for doing silly stuff like doing what we do, which he doesn't get paid as much as he does working for Bentley.
No.
But you know, he does get a little bit, but not enough really. Matt's without Matt it wouldn't happen. But I'm the ideas guy. Gav's the realist, and like keeps me calm and tells me what won't work and what will work. And then Matt makes us somehow look good.
That's wonderful. Well, he really does. And I loved the first season, which was just you guys going through the UK. I've always dreamed of doing that, going through the UK and visiting all the little toy shops, because England has that wonderful toy collector culture. You know, it translated a bit to Canada. All the toy shows here were based on die-cast models when I was a kid. And I think the UK, that spun out of the UK, you know, and that having a toy collector culture is like really important, because you can go to certain places where they don't have that and you won't find anything, you know. So you guys have now spun it off into Europe, which is even better because it's so fascinating to watch country by country. I mean, Italy was amazing. And then
Italy was incredible from start to finish. Italy was just
the level of toys, the level of toys that you don't see anywhere else. It was just phenomenal, and everywhere. It's like to them, this is just their regular stuff. To us, we're getting ridiculously excited.
Yeah, I mean, there was one bit, and I was saying, "So what's this?" And this guy was like looking at me like I was an idiot, which is, you know, he's thereabouts with that, to be honest with you. But he was looking at me going, "How do you not know this? You're meant to know what you're doing," kind of thing. this is like my brother.
Yeah,
because to him it's such a familiar thing. But it shows you just travel, 1,000 miles, or however far it is to Rome from here, and it's completely different. And it was all throughout as we go through, and you'll see over the coming weeks when we get to the Netherlands, we get Germany. That's this weekend's episode. That's going to be well exciting.
We had a very special time in Germany.
We did.
Yeah, that's
Germany was awesome. And we did Netherlands, Belgium, and then France. And all throughout, we found toys that we didn't see here. And that was the whole point of the show. And the whole point of our excitement was just going and buying stuff and went, just walking in everywhere. And there was always something. Every shop we went in, there was something in there.
I couldn't get over your recent episode of Switzerland, which I was like, do they have vintage toys in Switzerland? And your first shop that you visited, I was like, yeah, this is what I thought would be in Switzerland. It's just, very artisanal. And then you blew me away with the second half. That other store looked like a treasure, so it's really one of those things where I'm really surprised, and I'm looking forward to Germany because I used to work in Germany, and the hotel that I would stay at would have a flea market every Sunday, and it was like because of the time difference, I would be there at like 6 a.m. when they opened, and I'd spend the entire day there because I couldn't get over the stuff they collected. Was what's mundane to you is exciting to me, and that seems to be the vibe of your show, and it's fantastic. Now you're based in Leicester, and there's a very special connection to Leicester, and I don't know if my audience knows it, but it's a wonderful thing for me. So why don't you explain?
Well, Leicester's the home of a lot of different toy places. So we had Invicta Plastics, which were they made a lot of the dinosaurs and British Museum stuff. They made Mastermind, a game. There's other little companies as well, but the main one we're known for is Palitoy. And Palitoy were obviously Kenner over there. You had Kenner, and over here we had Palitoy. So the tri-logo cards that you occasionally will see, or the Palitoy logo, those beautiful Palitoy logoed Star Wars cards.
The Palitoy Death Star.
Yeah, the Palitoy Death Star.
Actually, we got that in Canada too. It was called the Irwin Death Star.
Did, yeah.
Or I guess it was the Sears Death Star.
Yeah.
Well, Palitoy had its hands in a lot of U.S. companies. Like, its contributions to Hasbro's G.I. Joe cannot be unnoticed. I mean, most of the innovations, the flocking, the kung fu grip, the eagle eyes, all came from Palitoy first.
Yeah, and some of those gentlemen that designed that come into the shop. So Bob Brecken comes in.
Bob Brecken, yeah.
And it's his hand, isn't it?
His hand, the Action Man hand.
It's Bob's hand.
Yeah. I'm very happy to say that Bob just contributed to an article for issue 8 of Toy Ventures.
Oh, excellent.
He's a lovely chap, he's Bob. He's a very good man.
Seems like a nice man. And he did a piece on Roboskull with Tony Roberts, and it's fantastic. That I love it when toy designers are like, they're welcoming. Because I've contacted a few that are like, now, and just kind of hang up,
No, I mean, the guys were very proud of what they did, and that's the thing that comes wrong. And you talk to any of those guys, we talked to the guys that did the covers, that did the pictures on the front, the guys that took the photos, but the designers, when you talk to them, you really get an idea of how much effort and how much. There was also a little bit of resentment over Star Wars and over the G.I. Joe stuff when it started to take over from Hasbro, because it wasn't their baby.
Yeah.
Whereas with I mean, if you look at, let's look at the Palitoy Death Star, okay, which was obviously released in Canada. It was released in Australia as well. The Palitoy Death Star, as a toy, it's a bit rubbish. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. It's a bit pants.
A lot of. But you say that with love.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love it. It's one of my absolute favorite things. As a kid, I fell on mine and it sort of flattened it.
Yeah, I guess any rain also wouldn't help it.
No, and there's a lot of rain
with
here.
that outside.
It's an indoor toy.
Action Force base they did. The Action Force HQ, not the G.I. Joe version like Hasbro.
No, but they reinvented it.
The Action Force one, the cardboard one they did is a fabulous bit of design. And it's really solid. I reckon as a kid, I could have stood on that. And I was a chunky kid, right? But you fold down, you've got this helipad, and it's just got so much play value.
It is a better design.
And it's like
the structure of it is so much better.
They've looked at the Death Star, gone, that didn't work.
Yeah.
That didn't work. That did work.
Yeah.
And let's improve it for this. And it is a magnificent toy and very, very underrated.
You know, I do think it's a crying shame that creative control got pulled from those guys, because you look at the stuff they did and you go, no, this is the tail wagging the dog. They should be listening to these guys more. Case in point, like one of my predilections are toys I loved as a kid that Palitoy got a hold of, completely messed with and made better. You know, the Bullet Man is a good example.
Yeah.
They gave him a beautiful box. They gave him, for some reason, they modified it, both his helmet and his boots, and it just somehow looks cooler.
Yeah, was it Dave Barnacle that did the packaging on that? I'm not sure. It might have been Dave.
Wow. Okay. So is he? Oh, that's fantastic.
He's he's got me a poster the other day. He brought a poster in a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
And he signed it and everything. It's just out of the goodness of his heart, because he just found this around, thought of you. That's the kind of, he's just a really lovely guy. But then that Bullet Man box is beautiful.
It's gorgeous, and even the Intruder, which I think is kind of a silly character.
I love the Intruder.
The palette.
you lucky because it is a bit rubbish.
Yeah. They gave him an amazing packaging.
Oh,
like where you're like, okay, now I want the Intruder. And that was actually the first Intruder item I bought, was the Palitoy box, not the American card, because it was just like, how can you not fall in love with
mine, isn't it?
Yeah. And they did wonderful things with Mego, which is my main collector focus.
Yeah.
And I mean, they really gave it a really creative edge over there. And everything they did, they seemed to put their heart in. And it's really a shame when you watch the Action Force turn into just G.I. Joe, essentially.
Yeah, and there was a thing, I think there is always, and any toy designer will always say this, there's always that frustration when you talk to them going, well, we were going to do this, but of course I wouldn't pay for that.
Yeah.
So they would have been even better.
Yeah.
And that's the feeling you get with them. They almost over-engineered a lot of stuff.
All the ideas, but didn't realise them,
Yeah, a bit like me.
Yeah.
Full of the ideas, but not allowed, and most of them wouldn't work. But Palitoy guys were good like that. They did amazing stuff.
Oh yeah, sometimes you see the prototypes and you go, "Oh my goodness!" Like I know it came down to dollars and cents, but it's like that would have sold so much better. I don't know if you're familiar with the Mattel line Pulsar.
Yes.
Yeah, he has a villain called Hypnos.
Yes.
And he was supposed to have LED lights.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that 1978. A villain with LED eyes, that would have been incredible. And it's like, I bet you that just came down to about like 8 cents, and they couldn't find it, you know.
It's price per unit, isn't it?
Yeah. So but that's wonderful that you have that like little bit of connection to toy history, and I guess you've become kind of a focus point for older Palitoy people in the area.
We welcome them. There used to be a guy that used to come in, I'm not going to say his name because it might embarrass him, but he had a few bits to sell.
Yeah.
And we basically flirted with this man for 6-7 years. And he bought some stuff into it. And whatever he bought in, we just bought it. So I remember buying a load of board games off him, and I gave him £100.
You're priming the pump.
And I just throw him straight in the bin.
Yeah.
And the bags still worth nothing.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to keep him coming. And he bought us some lovely stuff. And then one day he rang me and said, Joe, I've sent it all to Vectis Auctions. And I went, and it was like, you know, when your first girlfriend dumps you.
Yep.
And you keep ringing her like that.
He was wounded. He had to go home. Genuinely.
I 100% understand that. And it's almost flipped. It's Canada. I was working a trade show with a man who I had done some business with. We'd gotten a license together. And he starts talking about, I used to do all the toy fairs. I said, who'd you work for? And he goes, Irwin. But Irwin was Kenner Canada. Mm-hmm. And turns out this guy, when we were kids in Canada, if you filled up at Shell gas station, you could get a free Superpowers figure. And he was the guy who set that up. So he was going through a tough time and needed to find some first and last month's rent. And I said, well, you know, if you've got any old toys kicking around, I'll buy them. The next day, he comes with 2 garbage bags full of Star Wars figures on the card. And he's got a trunk full of stuff. I give him the money. And he goes, I have a sealed case, original 12 backs. And when I find it, I'll call you. It was about 6 years of back and forth with him, buying weird stuff off him. And then, yeah, I talked to him. And he goes, oh, by the way, I got 10 grand for that case. And I'm like, you sold it? And he's like, yeah, I got 10 grand. I didn't think you'd offer me 10 grand for that. And it was like, did you ask? And it was like my high school girlfriend dumped me. Just like you said, like, it was like, I can't believe you did that.
It ruins you for weeks and weeks and weeks. I've had it quite a few times. And it is because we don't do this to make money. Let's be clear about this.
Yeah.
We have to make money. That's a necessary evil. This shop is basically run on sort of unicorns, tears, and hope. It's not really it's not a viable business. It's like one of those things where you kind of, we have a lot of fun doing it, and we do make money, but we have to kind of really work in order to do it. So when you get one of these deals that comes through, it's you know, we'll put it this way: when I'm off, if I'm off work, I've been off, I've done my backing, so if I'm a bit odd,
right,
I'm on a lot of pain medication. So, but when I'm not around, if the guys buy a load of stuff in, I'm like, don't put it out till I've been in and seen it.
Right.
I want to be able to see it. And it's because I want to be able to kind of go, yeah, that's really cool. And it's just, I have to be able to do that. So yeah.
It's also a very personality based business, correct? Like my friend ran a vintage toy shop here in Toronto, and he said that his sales would go down 50% when he wasn't working.
Yeah.
And he said that it wasn't anything to do with the fellow he hired to take care of him. He's like, he's a nice guy. It's just people come in there and they want to see me. And he said he watched his employees said sometimes people walk in, look for you, and leave. And so you can't really take a lot of time off, can you?
See if you got anything else.
No, that does happen, doesn't it? We get the same thing happening.
Yeah, we do get the same thing, but it's less. It's less so.
Everyone's a character in this shop.
Yeah.
Like, that I found really interesting is that you will keep an eye on trends, and like you were saying something, Joe, once, and I never forgot it, that you were taking you said tractors, die-cast tractors are kind of meh right now, and you were changing the prices to go down to reflect that. So what have you noticed in like trends and popularity over the last couple of years? What was trash and now treasure?
I think there's so much stuff now. Diecast generally has dropped off.
Yeah.
We used to be. We've always bought what we liked, but nevertheless, our bread and butter, our money for the week would always be covered by our toy cars. So that would be things like tractors, things like buses. We used to sell like hundreds and hundreds of buses. And now we have 2 or 3 customers left because the older generation have either passed away or are not collecting or aren't as able to get into the shop. So that's been a big change. And sadly, we've lost some real good customers that sadly have passed away. In fact, my friend Norman's hat is right next to me now. We've got a little shrine for him, and he was a dinky toy collector. And when Norm passed, with that, a lot of those collectors of that age, certainly dinky toys took a big hit.
Yeah.
So we've seen that. So we do keep an eye on trends, but it's only when somebody comes in. We keep an eye on trends in a kind of like somebody comes in and went, it's a bit expensive. Is it?
Then we'll go and have a look.
Quite cheap when I had them in, and then you kind of look and you go, oh, actually.
And it will happen the other way around as well, though, isn't it?
It happens quite a lot the other way around.
What did we have? We had a biker mice figure right up the top here, wasn't it? It was like 20 quid on
20
it or something.
Quid,
and we looked it up. What was it worth?
Well, it was 120 quid or something.
It's just been sat there forever.
Yeah, it's because it's been sat there in the corner since before lockdown. Just before lockdown, we put it up in the corner. Then lockdown happened, and figures went up, and then certain figures became more on trend. So we're seeing now like the 90s stuff, really.
90s,
stuff that
90s.
Really, really giving house room.
It's coming through.
Last Action Hero, Super Mario Brothers, Demolition Man, all these sort of early 90s.
See, I didn't think 90s had a real defining, like the 80s, you can define it. You can say Joe and Transformers and He-Man, like you can find a top 5, but the 90s had so many misses. Like you just described, Super Mario Brothers,
exactly.
like Demolition Man,
because they were misses,
they're almost
more
desirable.
Exactly, because people, they're only just seeing them like, oh, what? They made toys for this?
Yeah, what was Turbo Man? What year was that?
Turbo Man, that'd be 90s.
98.
Late 90s.
Yeah.
That's really,
but
really...
like Turtles was 90s, really.
88.
It's basically the more colourful a toy line gets, the later.
Yeah. Well, the Turtles was like an evergreen. Yeah, it started in the real late 80s, and it definitely defined the 90s.
Yeah.
Everybody... Like I can see behind you, you've got Toxic Crusaders. That's definitely Turtles inspired. But it's I just can't, like, Turtles would be the only one I could really say is like that's a big hit of the 90s, and I assume maybe the Kenner Batman line too, because that ran quite a bit.
Yeah, it's still underappreciated now though. They haven't really picked up. I had a load of Kenner Batman stuff hanging around for ages.
Started and no one really wanted it.
Really, the Dark Knight was such a beautiful line. I love it. That's so strange.
No, it's a good line. It's just one of them things that I don't know. I think Turtles is a real winner out of that. But all these obscure lines, those films I mentioned, Last Action Hero, stuff like that, stuff that sort of flopped. People are tending to kind of go, but I loved it because they were at the right age to watch it and basically not have any taste.
I like the movie Demolition Man. But
it's one of the best movies ever.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it. No, I don't watch TV.
Joe's not a pop culture guy at all.
All I watch is basketball and football, or soccer for you guys. I watch basketball, I watch football, and I don't really watch anything else. My wife makes me watch The Crown with her.
Okay. Wow. So that you're probably in the right place then, because the reason I don't own a vintage toy shop is I think it would be two piles, stuff I want to sell and all for Brian, and I think that that Brian pile would be too large.
But that's part of the skill. Part of the thing of kind of going, I keep my collecting down to a thin thread. But off that thread, do I love that other stuff any less? If there's anything I can't live without, then I'm going to go, oh, you know what? I will just keep that back. But there are certain things where I look at it and go, would I prefer one to keep my shop running,
right, or
have it in my collection and scrap? No, I'd rather keep the shop running. So we always have that thing of going, let's try and get this stuff out the door.
Plus, you're around it every day. You're enjoying these toys while you're at work.
Yeah.
They'll come and go, but you'll always see them. So it's always nice in that way. So you don't need to collect everything. You get into that mindset. I'm enjoying them here.
Mind you, have got a ridiculously large collection already.
Well, yeah.
Have you guys ever thought of doing a show showcasing your personal collections? Because it's hinted at, it's alluded to.
I think we might do it at some stage.
It would just need to tidy up a lot. I'll have to.
It's him that's the problem. Mine's quite simple because I've got pieces I can wax lyrical on for 10 minutes and we can show you, and it's just like some really cool items. And most of mine have got stories attached as well. But Gav's is a bit of a
it's
behemoth.
So much.
It's a huge
there's so much. There's not. I've not got a focus, so I'll just buy anything that I like.
You have very eclectic taste. That's one of the things I like about your show is you're looking at a lot of interesting pieces, and then Gav is looking at something just completely like, what? I've never heard of this.
He is a bit like a wasp at the end of summer. He just goes around going, yes, that, I'm back. I don't know what I'm doing, but you have to. But it is quite good.
I like, the weird stuff.
You have got a lot better though.
Yeah,
but it's working here. It does make you kind of go, actually, no, I'm going to wait for this, or it gets you focused.
Yeah, I guess so. You want to see what the next thing's going to come along and that sort of thing. Yeah. Do you get a lot of walk-in? Like people
Yeah, a lot
selling
of people
stuff?
walk in, not buying at the moment. It's very quiet, apart from that loud gentleman. But yeah, but really, it's not. We get a lot of walk-ins to sell.
Yeah.
At the moment, we've not had loads today. But
It's
a couple
more.
of bits.
We more get messages through now.
Mm.
With people selling, with photos of what they've got to sell, and it sort of all happens that way.
Yeah,
now.
we've had a couple of packages arrive today. We've got another one due probably tomorrow, which is arriving from a customer who just says this is how much I want for this stuff. Will you buy it? And I was okay, because he's a nice guy and we've dealt with him loads of times. He sort of always come to a price that you can both sort of meet up on. So we do a lot of that. We go out a lot as well. And we always go out buying in the van.
Yeah.
In fact, it's pretty much our favourite thing to do, buying toys.
Yeah.
It is, genuinely the excitement.
That's the fun part.
Yeah. Buying toys and having a collection fresh in the door is kind of just
pricing up a massive collection.
Oh, it's great.
It is. It's brilliant.
Really good fun. Really good fun. Just watching. Not because of watching the money roll in.
No.
Because you don't see the money.
It's getting the chance to study and look at the toys,
and just kind of
see what weapons go with what, see what's missing. Yeah.
And if it's a line that you don't know particularly well, but you like, then you kind of like, oh, this is so cool. This is so cool. This is what I wanted. and you get that enjoyment out of that. And then I'm looking down. And what I tend to do, and if anybody comes to the shop, you must look in the lower cabinets. Because quite often there's things hidden in there, which I go, oh, that's really nice. I'll just put that at the back.
Don't really want to sell that one.
I can see it from the chair. There's things I like, which should be in other cabinets. I'm looking at 2 bits down there, which I bought on Toy Shop on tour.
Yeah, I know what you're looking at.
And you kind of go, I'd like the others of those, but I'd never have them at home because it's not my focus, but I love seeing them here.
That makes sense. Yeah, I can see that. So you want to stick around a little while.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, what is the one thing, or if you've got multiple stories that you guys have sold that hurt you? Like you knew it had no place in your home, but it broke you a little bit.
There's been a few for me. There's been a few. I always regret selling the Tombstone, the Action Man.
Oh yeah.
I always regret that because he doesn't come in very often. He has the same problem with his joints as Bullet Man, so they often fall apart, which means they have to be redone. And he's my favourite Action Man. And every time I get one, I think I might keep this one.
Yeah.
And I never do. So there's that, but there's loads of other stuff as well. Because I'm not an Action Man collector at all.
Oh really?
No, I'm not into it at all. I love Tom Stone. I just think he's really cool. I bet
for folks who don't know, Tom Stone was the black G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
And Palitoy turned him into a character, which I think is really cool.
He's brilliant because he looks like he's into the same music as me. We probably watch the same sports. And it's just like, we get on. So I like
a new friend for Joe.
That's it. So
You'll never leave me, Tom.
I actually sold my C3PO tape dispenser to Gav.
I
the
remember that.
Which I never, which I said I'd never sell, and
I always, from the day it came in, I was like, I'm having that.
And it got to a point where Gav sold something expensive and basically said, "Can I buy it off you?" And I went, "Yeah, all right then," and then sold it him at a very reasonable price, didn't I?
It is.
Because he's one of my best mates, I'm not going to sell it him like top end, but at the same time, I know where it's in the family. If you know what I mean.
That's
So
exactly what I was going to say. Is where it is. I have a piece in my collection that a friend of mine goes, "You're never allowed to sell it unless it's back to me." And he goes, "So basically, you're just holding it for me," and he's right. I would, first of all, I don't know who else would pay what I paid for it because it was at the time now it's probably worth it, but back then it was overpaying and now, but it's just a pedigree and it's fun. I will eventually probably sell it back to him if I ever part with it. So it's kind of nice.
There is quite a lot. I've sent out a lot of stuff like that going, if you ever sell it, it's got to come out here. It's like things, just simple things that I've clung on to in the hopes of getting. I sold a Fort Max box the other day. Really nice. It had a UK price sticker on as well.
It was clean, that box.
So it was obviously sent to a seaside town at some point when they couldn't sell any more in the States. And it was just this one was found. I think it was from the East Coast. It had the price sticker on, and it's just like one of them things you kind of go, oh, so cool to see a UK price sticker on. and I had it here for years. I never found the right Fort Max to go in the box. So my mate bought it off me for his, and I was like, "You can't ever sell it; it must come back." And that happens quite a lot, actually.
Well, what is Fort Max?
Oh, sorry, Fortress. Sorry, I shouldn't explain properly. Generation 1 Transformers Fortress Maximus.
It's absolutely huge. It's probably the biggest G1 Transformer.
It is the biggest one.
Yeah. Okay, I've seen that. It's got some orange on it, right?
No,
that's
Scorponok.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, it's kind of blue and white.
Yeah,
and red. Massive, great thing.
I was thinking about. Is that right? Is it blue, red, and white? There's one there. There's one literally there.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
You know what?
Man.
I searched for a toy for my book, and I knew I owned it, but I couldn't find it. And I searched and searched and searched. It's literally hanging on the wall above me.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't worry, that happens all the time. In here, like I go, well, we sold that. These guys the other day, they told a bloke we'd sold all this particular line. No, we've only got this left, this one item left. And then I came in and just went, what about all them there?
Yeah,
Like,
whole cabinet full.
Yeah, I've lost my keys in here, and it's impossible. It's so much distraction and eye candy that it could, you just find them and they're sitting on the. And it's like, how did I not see these? But
that's how Gav feels working with me. It's too much eye candy.
Yeah. Well, you guys have a great back and forth too. That's one of the things. The chemistry is very genuine on the show, and you guys are very clearly having fun, and it's infectious. I really love the show. And how many more episodes have we got in season 2? Just so I know.
You've got another. We're halfway through. We've got another 3 on the road.
Okay.
So it's a short series this season.
Short but longer episodes.
Yeah,
I've loved that.
And then we've got episode 7, which is like a roundup at the shop. And then we'll be doing a Q&A where we'll reveal some of the problems that happened on Toy Shop on Tour, which is why there were certain things that happen which you won't see in the show or you won't know about.
Right.
But yeah, there were certain things that happened which we'll reveal afterwards.
Q&A. Yeah.
And then, but we've got the week after, and this will be exactly up your street.
Oh, it really will.
A Boxing Day release of a special, which is going to be like toy wise, Brian. It is exactly your cup of tea.
It's not to spoil it. It's a celebrity collector.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a very very special collection of toys. So very very special toys.
Look, I will be having a very fun Boxing Day watching that. We celebrate Boxing Day in Canada as well. Probably because we're a Commonwealth, but Americans don't get it. But that's awesome. I'm really looking forward to that now, and I'm intrigued. You mentioned something, and I wanted to broach this with you guys because I think you might know more than me, is Seaside Towns.
Yeah.
What's the deal? I've been buying a collection from a man for about 5 or 6 years. He went to Seaside Towns and bought incredible stuff.
Yeah.
And I've bought some very rare vintage off him, like the Denny Fisher Superman that winds up, of which he had a few. But then I've also picked up some bootlegs from him, and they all have price tags on them from places like Pramland of Lee, Go Gay Gifts, all these kind of Blackpool shops, and they make no sense. I brought a few to show you. A lot of them are Palitoy mego figures in little baggies.
That's a proper figure as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is mint perfect fist fighting Spider-Man in a header card that says Superman and Spider-Man. I have like so many iterations of these, and
that's cool. I mean, that's the kind of thing that does show up. It's not something that shows up regularly, even over here.
No, that's not common.
But it was cheap things. So what you got at Seaside Towns, they wanted to buy stuff cheap, to sell for pocket money prices. So that was
this is 99p at Pramland. Yeah.
So probably the equivalent of about 4 or 5 quid now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It was always the end of line stuff that they couldn't sell, just got sent to these places.
Okay.
Prepackaged. Some of it would have come out of landfill, let's say, and places like that, possibly.
Okay. Yeah, because a lot of this stuff is mix and match too.
Yeah, because it's landfill. Because what they did, because they chucked so much stuff. Palitoy were a very wasteful company. Very, very wasteful company. The knockoffs we'll get to in a minute, but Palitoy, just speaking from a Palitoy point of view,
Yeah.
There's all this myth about the Palitoy. We're going to do a program about it at some point. But,
I look forward to it.
Yeah, we're trying to get permissions off councils and things like that because we need to dig. But essentially, Palitoy buried toys. Everybody thinks it's from 1985. They just buried stuff at the end. They didn't. They buried it from the 70s. And we found it as close to the shop as a mile and a half away, and as far away as Luton, which is like an hour and a quarter drive.
Right.
So quite a long way away. And they used to drive it to bury it. And it was just stuff that came to like the end of it. We'll just get rid of it. And quite often, based on the evidence that I see before me, as in like when I've been to someone's house and cleared out 10,000, 12,000 Action Man bodies that had been supposedly dumped, they were just sort of, the drivers got kind of paid off to kind of take it somewhere else. So there was these deals going on behind the scenes that would just happen. Not everything got through. We know a lot of stuff got buried.
Yeah.
But things like this can be a thing of like, mego. How do you say it? Mego or mego?
Mego. It is mego.
See, it's always mego to me, but I was thinking, I'm going to get told off for that. So mego figures, for example, because they sort of stopped selling, they dried up, didn't they? It became once Star Wars came along, it kind of killed that sort of scale figure.
Right.
And those figures no longer sold. So how would they sell them? Well, if you're on holiday, your kids have got a limited choice. So when I was a kid, I knew that I could buy from the holiday place I went to Britain's Tractors or Britain's Space, or you could buy those little planes you flew along. And other than that, there wasn't loads of choice in the local toy shop where I went on holiday, in this tiny little village. There was often places like that. So it was just cheap stuff that kids could afford on a budget. So there were multiple reasons. But as long as it was cheap, those guys were buying. And you also got end-of-line stuff, which is why when I mentioned the Fortress Maximus box, which was a huge toy.
Yeah.
We also found USS flags. G.I. Joe USS flags.
I remember you mentioning that, and that's what made me want to ask you guys more about Blackpool, because it's like, it seems like the land of the lost, like things just fall there that don't make sense.
Yeah, they go to either. Well, Blackpool's a kind of weird one. I don't know why Blackpool.
No, Blackpool's like, what's it though? Rill.
Yeah, Rill.
Rill. Okay.
Yeah, weirdly,
the Real Housewives of Rill.
Yeah.
In Rill, we know there's lots of stuff that was found railway, which isn't far from Blackpool, which is around the corner. But the USS flag was around that area, was around that sort of North Wales area. Okay. And the USS flag that we found was the other one we found was on the East Coast. So this was, Skegness, that sort of place, which was like
Skegness.
a little seaside town that, where you go out, where everybody says, "Oh, look at the sea," and it's that big brown wobbly thing. It's not one of those idyllic
nice looking.
Yes,
sea.
It's not nice. It's not going to make a holiday brochure.
It's one of those like pebble beaches.
They're not pebbles. No, it's a sand beach. It is a sand beach.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
I just remember watching a Vision On as a kid and going, they're playing in the sea, and it's like, that doesn't look very nice or warm. But
yeah, it's not warm, but it's not. It's not. But it's like one of these holidays that people remember very fondly. Going to Skegness, and it would be cheap stuff that you could kind of like get for your pocket money and feel like you got a sense of value, because you weren't going to get the main line toys there.
Yeah.
But the end of line stuff was when they couldn't get any more. This guy that bought, when we bought the USS flag of him, he said he'd seen it in this shop window for it was there for 6 months, and they bought it just because it was an end of line. It was a cheap deal. They bought 2. They sold one straight away, and he had to save up his pocket money. So I think he was doing he had
consignment deal or a layaway.
He was a young parent, and I think he had to do a paper round to try and save up the money to pay for this USS flag for his kids to play on.
Wow.
So it was kind of like weird, but I don't know why. I don't know why the big stuff always seems to end up on the coast, but it does. Yeah. And also this sort of cheap end knockoff stuff.
So what you're saying to me, and this is the fascinating part, is you're saying that Palitoy would try to dump, let's say they had a pile of Mego figures and they like, let's bury these. Somebody bought those under the table.
Yeah.
And that's why I find them in these weird poly bags that just say superhero.
Yeah, that's just me based on the evidence that I've seen, based on the stuff that we found around here. Friday Afternoon Falcons. We used to get one when we first started out back in late 2008, 2009, 2010. We had like these people bringing these Millennium Falcons. They were always in a black bag. And they went, I've got this Millennium Falcon. And they were brand new Millennium Falcons. Never been, no box, no sticker sheet, just brand new. And it wasn't like, there was like 3 or 4 that turned up in this same year. Friday afternoon Falcons, where do you get this? And it was always down the pub. Basically, you'd have guys running off out. So stuff was going out of Palitoy.
Like me. In the early 80s, all of my Star Wars stuff came from that because there was a lady down the road worked at Palitoy, and they were making extra things after the hours, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah,
we had a plastics firm in the next town over doing that for Kenner, Canada, and my sister's friend worked there, and she'd bring me like the Rebel troop transporter or the Darth, no stickers, like you said, and it would always be like she just was being nice to me, and she stopped when they did the Dukes of Hazzard, which is probably some of the rare stuff. But it's crazy how that little black market happens, eh?
And you remember there wasn't just Palitoy that were running these things off.
Yeah,
Invicta Plastics were taken on to make Falcons. There was another company in Cole that their name slips my mind that also ran Palitoy stuff through that because they couldn't churn it out fast enough,
right?
Quickly. So if little Jimmy down the pub would be there with his bag of swag, as it were, and it happened a lot. And Palitoy were wasteful. They were wasteful. But I love them because they're flawed. I think that's why I love Palitoy so much as a company.
Right.
If the company's great and they do everything right, it's kind of you go, but because Palitoy is so flawed, you're kind of going, man, it's like having an old car that doesn't work. You still love it,
Yeah.
It's like that sort of thing. Palitoy is like that. It's like that sort of thing going, I know what's wrong with it. It's quite funny. Why did they do that? But at the same time, you just...
And they fought till the very end, like the catalogue, that final catalogue.
In the 1985 catalogue. So by 1984, the writing was on the wall, Palitoy. They kind of cooked their goose. But 1985, the catalogue, the entrance of the catalogue, millions of pounds of this, and look how amazing we are, and look at how many pre-sales and this and that, and then done. Yeah. So it was kind of like this optimistic sort of view of like somebody going, we're gonna have to really dress this up.
Yeah, we're gonna put perfume on this pig, so to speak. Oh, that's a shame.
I wanted to, because what's the name? The gentleman that was around at Palitoy passed away not long ago. I wanted to ask him what he thought, because he'd left by this point. He'd kind of like seen the writing on the wall and gone.
Right.
But he's sadly just passed away because if somebody's working somewhere, you have these internal things going on.
Right.
And we're going to miss this generation. We're not careful. We'll miss all this generation of finding out all this stuff.
Right, exactly.
To ask these guys, so what happened then? What happened then? We need to almost curate this stuff. We've got a box of Palitoy related stuff downstairs.
Pay slips, envelopes.
We've got some mego pay slips and stuff like that.
Yeah. Temporary employment and then main employment as well.
Yeah. It's a term my friend likes to call so rare it's completely worthless.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who paid 50 quid for a pay slip? Me.
Yeah. I have Mego's health benefits booklet.
Do you?
Wow.
Nice.
Which I'll never read or look at, but I needed to have it.
Fantastic. Yeah.
This is one of the weirder pieces I own, and I own a bunch of these, and I wanted to show you guys this. It's 39p.
Wow.
It's a generic dolly wearing a Mego jacket, and I have Star Trek uniforms.
Planet of the Apes jacket.
Yeah, it's a Planet of the Apes jacket.
Wow.
I have Star Trek uniforms. I have Planet of the Apes. I have Space 1999. The Palitoy Space 1999. It looks like a dress. This is obviously runoff from Palitoy. Everything seemed to be repurposed and recycled with terrible header cards that are like these things. Somebody put these on a press, so they must have had like a ton of this stuff.
But I do think, there was an Irish company. I think they were Irish, and they ran these. I don't know if you've ever seen it. After Action Man was kind of done, and what they did is they had a proper deal going with Palitoy, and they bought a lot of the clothes, and they put them in these black boxes. I think it's famous regiments or something like that. I can't remember now.
Oh yeah.
The black boxes, and then basically they're bagged items. In fact, I've got some bagged items down here. to try and find one actually in a baggie. In fact, the fresh out baggies are not in a. These are in baggies, but not original baggies.
Right. So that's
But they have
the red. What was that called?
Red
The
Devil.
Red Devil.
So this one's sort of nearly complete. So that's very unlikely because normally what you do, you'd have bits of. We've got a bit of German outfit in here, but you have these bits of outfits, and they'd throw them in a bag, and then they'd resell them. So. And I think that was done with Palitoy's knowledge, some of that, because it was all seemed to be bankrupt stock.
Yeah.
It was probably at the end.
Yeah.
It was after 1985, and all the labels were cut out. So that screams of some organisation.
Yeah.
However, that sort of thing, I think, has basically come off the back of a lorry.
Okay.
And they bought it en masse because they ordered so much stuff. Those Action Man bodies I mentioned, there was 12,000 of those when I picked them up, and I had a Citroen XM Estate, which is a big estate car, and I filled it 3 or 4 times just with these bodies, and it's just the torso.
Yeah.
These Space Commander bodies, because they just ordered too many, and they were just going to dump them.
Right.
And this was the case with a lot of stuff. They'd run it off in Hong Kong or wherever, and then it would come over, and they go, "Well, we're not doing those anymore."
Oh yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So that's what I think that's come from.
And I've also noticed that a lot of these baggy Megos I have blotched eyes. Like, you know, they're supposed to just put that little eye detail in, and meanwhile it's like this huge blurb of white. And it's like, these are probably rejects. They probably looked at them and said, don't put these out.
Yes, they would have come off the back of a lorry.
Yeah,
Been in the bins. We in fact, speaking of Irwin, we've got a Canner Alien, an Irwin Alien.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I've never seen a Canadian boxed alien.
It's not a box one.
Oh, okay.
The story behind this is weird. Now, I bought this just where Palitoy was. This was about 4 years ago. Right. I bought it just where Palitoy was, just one of the streets there. And this guy said, well, a neighbour brought it to me. And he said, this is what happened. And I went, what happened? And he went, well, he was going through the bins at Palitoy, and he pulled this out. And I was like, yeah, okay. And he was like, this was meant to be like it came out of the design office. So at some point, there was talk of a Palitoy alien.
Yeah.
Which I've asked about, and nobody can really remember. It was in the bins. And obviously this guy got it out of the bins. So I bought it and thought, well, that's just cool, because it's like, I know the story, and it is the kind of thing that happened all the time. So I've got no reason to disbelieve him. And also the same price as a normal alien. So I was fine paying the price.
Wow. Yeah, that's a piece of history.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at it thinking, it's really naff.
Yeah.
Something, is it like a test shot?
Yeah,
is it something?
The paint's bad.
It's like splits. It's kind of
glue residue everywhere.
Yeah, and it isn't nice, but it's not been played with. It's tight. Everything's tight, but it's just rubbish. And it's because it's Irwin. And somebody went, no, that's how they are. And I'm like, oh, really? Yeah. So I think it's just a normal Irwin alien that's been sent over.
Oh, okay. It was, so they were just looking at it, and they probably don't remember it because it was an afternoon.
Yeah. And that's an item that I will, if I ever do sell it, I will regret.
Yeah, that's.
You love looking at
that earlier. That's the item I had in mind. Yeah. That's the one that we sad when that
story.
goes.
That's why it's the story that gets you, Brian.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. I can see that. Because you can see them sitting in a boardroom, looking at this toy. And there's probably cigarette smoke everywhere, and
I've got some photos of some of the meetings they had when they met with Meccano to do whatever deals they were doing with Meccano in France.
Okay, for Star Wars.
Paris on a Jolly Boys.
Oh yeah.
And it's like this amazing because they're all in flares and like smoking Gauloises and these great photos. We've got loads of this sort of stuff. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And they did everything. They sponsored like certain toy shops were like really hand in hand with Palitoy. There was like a racing car as well in one of the photos, sponsored by Modern Toys.
Yeah.
And this is crazy. Some sort of time with Palitoy as well, because they were found off a Palitoy employee. Bonkers, the amount of stuff they were involved in.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you guys are trying to catalog some of it, because it's crazy. I'm really enjoying this. Like, I could just sit here and listen to this all day. And I hope to one day be in your shop, and hopefully we can do another live there. But this has been amazing, guys. So where can people find Toy Shop on Tour?
just type it into Google or on YouTube. Just put Toy Shop on Tour.
Go to leicestervintage.co.uk and all the episodes are on there to watch.
I'll put up. When I edit this video, I'm gonna put up your links a bunch of times. Let them pop up.
Yeah, let the gent.
Guys, I really want to thank you for doing this, especially this being my first episode. I don't think it could have gone better, and you are just as easy to talk to as you appear on the screen. So I'm really looking forward to the next episode of Toy Shop on Tour, and especially your Boxing Day episode. Now you've got me intrigued.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. By the toys, there's not much of me and Gav in it. That's all I'm saying. The star tends to take the limelight there, but it's just his toy
collection is the biggest.
I think I know who this is.
And it is amazing. So don't no spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah, if it is him, it's the guy I want to be when I grow up.
It's an amazing collection, and he's just as lovely in real life as he appears on telly.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
So he's a top guy. But it's a great episode, and the toy wise, there's some stuff you'll never see anywhere else, and that's all I'm going to say.
Well,
you'll have one. There is one of it, and he's got it.
Yeah.
So. I didn't get you guys anything for Christmas then.
Don't worry, I don't celebrate it, and he's got too much already.
Oh, Brian, I have to say, I bought your book. I didn't know it was your book.
Oh, really?
Actually, your knockoffs book. It's fantastic.
I appreciate it.
Good. Yeah.
I've been eyeing Big Rex behind you because he's in the books, and he was one of the things I pointed out in the book that was more fun than a licensed Godzilla toy.
It is. It's a very, very cool toy. It does work really, really well. This one's a sealed unit. He's never been out and play with.
Oh yeah. I actually
super cool.
No offense to you guys, but I've been staring at it the entire time.
They're dealing with us, to be fair. Look straight ahead through.
So, all right. Well, thanks very much for being with us, and I would love to have you guys back, especially if you're launching another season or whatever. What's the plans for Toy Shop on Tour? Have you got a big idea for season 3?
We've always got big ideas.
Well, we've got something coming up. We can tell you what's coming up, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can tell you what's coming up about that. We can't tell you about the Boxing Day thing, but what we can tell you about is what we're going to record in February. In February, we go to Scandinavia, and we film a Toy Shop on Tour special here, and we're going through Norway, Sweden, Denmark. So it's going to be
in February.
In the
when
winter.
It's the absolute coldest.
Yeah, bring a scarf.
I'll be happy though. It won't be too hot.
I'll be all right.
And I probably won't get to go in the sea. So it'll be all right. So
awesome.
it'll be good. So we're doing that, and the plan is that late in 2023, or late summer 2023, hopefully, we'll be coming over to the United States of America.
Really?
Yes. That's
okay.
The plan.
Whereabouts are you thinking of hitting? Because
we're not sure. We're not sure yet because we can't. We did have this mad plan when everything started. We had this mad plan to drive across America, and this was Toy Shop on Tour 1. That was the whole first idea that I came up with. Which even now, after 2 series and filming a special and a number of specials that we've done already, I'm now going, that's a stupid idea. I will go mad. So what I think we might do is pick a coast and drive up and down it and basically do that. And that way, when we do if we do another series in the future, we can go back again.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we've got to get this one out of the way first. So once we've got Scandinavia out of the way, then we plan America.
Then you conquer the world.
One thing at a time. It's like we said that you told me off today. He does this. He told me off. He went, you can't just stick to what we've got to do here. And that's it. And that's how I am, because I'm thinking of like, well, I want to do this. And then Gav's looking at the logistics going, yeah, you want to do that, but it's going to be me that has to do that. So, it's like, I'm technically...
You have the idea and I'll spend all week doing it.
I am technically in it. So, yeah. Well, we're also doing an auction. We're doing a live auction.
Okay.
Sometime around sort of the New Year time. Yeah. We're going to do a live auction. We used to do them ages ago. They were really good.
It was kind of pre-Toy Shop on Tour, wasn't it? It's sort of what launched us as a duo, really.
That's why we started off doing auctions. Yeah. So we're going to do that. We're going to do some sort of cool stuff, and we'll do a big auction at some stage. So we'll auction some of the stuff from Toy Shop on Tour, and we'll hopefully get some nice merch out for people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
should be good.
wonderful.
So lots,
Great.
basically, loads of plans, Brian.
Loads
You're doing good work, and I hope to see you in Canada. And I would love to watch you go to Japan. I would love to see that brand conquer the world because it is a lot of fun and it's infectious. And I'm saying this completely sincerely. You need to subscribe to this channel. This show is a lot of fun if you're a toy collector.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Hey, no problem, guys. I can't. You're knocking it out of the park. The quality is amazing on this show.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the good thing that we've got. We've got the quality. We just need to get. If we had longer in each shop, we could have like better shots and things. But Matt's trying to do it all on his own. He has so much to do, and it all comes down to finances.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we don't get any help with this. Our YouTube earnings stand at like
It's very little.
very little.
I really hope that we can increase your bandwidth because it's like I just sit there and go, this is better than anything on TV, and that's huge. And I know I'm the core audience, but there's a lot of us.
There is a lot of us, but it's up to everyone. We're never one to like. We did it, and this is everything with the shop. Why do you do it? We do it because we like it.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's it. It's we're here, and it is good for business. And don't get me wrong, it's stuff like that. But it doesn't pay off.
No.
Not right now.
It's super positive, and the one thing I really like is I know for a fact that you're going in these shops, you're buying bulk, and you're getting a deal. And if those guys walked into your shop, the exact same thing would happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. We had one of the guys from Scandinavia that we're going to see in the special. I'm really excited about that because there's not many shops. There's a lot of collectors, a lot of enthusiasm out there, a lot of characters as well. This is what we find with the toys and everything. There's people are characters have all got stories. Why do you collect? It's all these things, and we're going to look forward to seeing that on the show. But when he came in, we did this amazing deal. He's like, "Are you sure? Are you sure this is fine?" I'm like, "Yeah, because give a bit back, and we know he'll do us deals when we get there." And it's the same for anybody that comes in here. If we've dealt with them on Toy Shop on Tour, we'll always look after them. Because at the end of the day, if they haven't made money out of what I've sold them, they're kind of doing my job wrong. Right. Otherwise, a dealer won't come back.
Yeah.
We buy stuff,
absolutely.
make money, but we don't have time to get everything out the door. So you have to trade some stuff away. And that's just how it works.
And again, what's common to you is exciting to them. So it kind of works out. It's a good deal.
Yeah, we have got one guy that always buys our hot toys, don't we?
Yeah.
Because we can't be bothered. As cool
I love
as they
them.
are.
I love hot toys.
They're great. They can't sell them for love the money in
Not
here.
in here.
Yeah, they've eluded me. They're neat to look at, but they kind of cross the line of toy. They're just too good.
Yeah, I like things to be gently naff.
Yeah, I call them clunky. I like a bit of clunk, but gently naff, I like that better.
Gently naff is kind of like that sort of thing of like, it's like backing into being cool. It's like reversing it.
I'm stopped there. I've not quite made it over
I've
the
not
line.
quite made it over the line. But you can
I couldn't agree more. That is my aesthetic. I love that.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks, guys. Best of luck to you. And I hope everybody, again, watching will check out their channel.
Thanks very much, Brian.
Thank you.
All right.